So when we do this, we see that Unity created a lot of files. And as you can see here, right, so here are artifacts with random names and stuff. These are things that don't go into the repository. These are things that Unity creates every time new from scratch when it needs to, right? So only a subset of the data here actually needs to go into the repository. Most notably, for instance, here everything that's in the asset folder, some stuff that's in the library folder. The main problem is how can you tell? And also these are a lot of files. So we don't want to go through and actually decide on a case-to-case basis which file to keep and which not to. So we can tell a Git to ignore the vast majority of these files, and luckily we don't have to do this by ourselves manually. There is a wonderful site out there, website, that we can go to, and it's called gitignore.io. So gitignore.io. And when we go there, we are greeted with a template generator, really, that creates the file, which is called .gitignore, that contains the information for Git that tells it what particular files to ignore. And and it's a great collection, and we can mix and match different things. The first things that we usually should do is we should by default ignore all operating system meta files. So we can just type and say, okay, Windows. Then we can type Linux and Mac OS. So therefore, all three major operating systems meta files are ignored, and they don't show up in the repository whatsoever. So those are that's the first step. And then for Unity, there is just a template, as you can see here, for Unity as well. And that's all we need. We got Windows, we got Linux, Mac OS, and Unity, and we're good. So when we create this now, and I click on Create Now, we see that indeed we get a relatively long list of files and file patterns that we can tell Git to ignore. So we copy this over into source tree, so I can hit Control A here to select everything, and then Control C to copy it, and then go back here, and then we can set up the gitignore file here by going to repository, and then repository settings, and then under advanced we can go to the repository specific ignore list. We can say edit, and then hit Control V, and then save that file by just either hitting Control S or just closing and acknowledging that you want to save it. And that's that. And now when we go back to our Git list, we see that the list has become considerably shorter, because these are all the things that matter and the only things that matter that need to go into the source code repository. This is enough information for Unity when that is in the repository, when you clone that repository on a new system to completely recreate all the other stuff that you saw. That's actually what it took so long to start up, to actually create all these files from this basic template information.